Bonjour, Rachel.
Hi.
Hello, or as the French may say, la hello. Hello, how are you doing there?
The hello.
La hello. I think that's French. I took a class. I watched this episode of Discovery, and not only that, I watched the Ready Room discussion with Will Wheaton. That's French for Will Wheaton.
Stop being such a wanker.
It's called Le Wanker, please.
Stop.
We started this with a French guest. We started this with a French guest. Giraffe. She set the tone, and now here we are doing our Star Trek Discovery coverage, and it's all French here because we're covering a very special episode of Star Trek Discovery today on Yum Yum podcast, or as the French would say, Yum Yum.
Seriously, I've had enough.
You've had enough? So we are here on Yum Yum to talk about science fiction television, one episode at a time, and we are rewatching, reviewing, and just giving an over...
And you personally are pushing your wife's boundaries and limits.
Buttons as well, perhaps. Do you have buttons that I'm pushing one at a time or three at a time? I don't know. But Star Trek Discovery...
lit up the whole elevator button panel.
So you eventually take us...
I've got both, like, fists on hips.
And she's sitting down, so it looks very funny. But Rachel, I can see that you are not amused by my antics here.
No.
So how about you bring order to the podcast by telling us all about Yum Yum?
You just really want to piss me off more, don't ya?
It's order. It's the structure.
We're called Yum Yum because you hate me. No, not really. You became obsessed with Yum Yum as a concept and as a reflection of Star Trek Discovery after the season 2 finale, where an individual who lacks enough characterization to be called a character with confidence says Yum Yum when offered the opportunity to go and kill a character. Like an antagonistic force, not even the antagonist of the whole season, but an evil guy nonetheless.
Possessed by the actual antagonist of that season. Never forget, Control is the reason that Discovery's in the future. That's how big of a menace they were. But you said something there. You know, you said that I became obsessed with it, that, you know, I found this whole thing, but do not divorce yourself from just, you know, from that iconic line that Discovery brought us. You were there, your jaw hit the floor, you became obsessed with it as well.
No.
You joined the yes.
It took years before. Like, you're making it sound like we were chatting after the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was just like, Yum Yum all the way. And we're like 5 years into Yum Yum. And I would say the majority of it I have not been on board.
I think you're rewriting history. I think you're erasing the Yum Yum in your life, putting it onto me to better fit the narrative that I'm punishing you by doing this. But hey,
I'm on board with the concept of Yum Yum. I'm not on board with the concept of having to explain Yum Yum.
I explain it sometimes. You explain it most of the times because you love to explain
I'm
it.
a teacher. I love explaining things.
You love to teach us all.
I do.
And how about you teach us all what episode of Star Trek Discovery's final season we are talking about today?
Lagrange. I'm trying to do it without the French inflection. Lagrange Point.
Lagrange Point, miss.
Yeah, that's what I went with.
What kind of drugs do they sell at Lagrange Point, miss? But I just have to say, the whole French thing, it's because Will Wheaton aggressively in the ready room just was all Mr. Oh, this excellent episode, the penultimate episode of Star Trek Discovery, Lagrange Point. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, Will. Shut up, Wesley. Everyone, we are here to talk about the penultimate episode, Lagrange Point. So, Rachel, what is IMDb's summation of Lagrange Point?
After Mole and the Breen capture a mysterious structure that contains the progenitor's power, Captain Burnham must lead a covert mission to retrieve it before the Breen figure out how to use it.
Problem is, we can't do any of that unless we can get ourselves on board the Dreadnought.
And that's what we'll have to do.
Do you actually have a Yum Yum moment in this episode? Because I'm struggling to remember any that isn't the Hudar section of this episode, because Hugh Culber did a huge jump down some small steps for no apparent reason, and that there is 100% Yum Yum.
The moment where they're like, he never sits down. When they're talking about Raina, that was just so dumb.
And is that why it's
but
Yum
not
Yum?
Sexy. So it
Not
doesn't-
funny.
It's just so stupid that it was something that came to mind as being like, wait, what did they think they were doing? Like, that feels Yum Yum in a similar way to Orange, really?
Ooh, that brings back some horrible memories. Oh, how far we have come since those days. Rachel's wearing a dress that could be described as either orange or yellow, depending how you feel about it. Rachel, what's your eye say about your own dress? Would you say orange, or would you say orange really to me?
It's yellow.
Okay.
It's a yellow dress.
So you would say orange? Really?
Yes, if somebody called this orange, I would be like, orange, really?
Can you please just elaborate a little bit on that Hugh moment that I just tossed out there? Because
I thought
it
we were
is...
saving it for the Hudar.
It's a Yum Yum moment as well. It is...
So you explained it very succinctly. He jumps down some stairs for no reason. He just bounds forward into a scene.
They're like three steps too. It's not like a staircase. It's not like amazing.
No,
it's just an engineering.
It's not even the entrance that people use anymore. Like, they use the other one that's like on the main floor.
And then he just has a calm, casual conversation with Paul. There's no urgency, so why is it directed with a sense of urgency?
We'll get to the direction, okay? We're not at that point yet, Ryan. Okay? We're not there yet. We're not there yet, okay?
Rachel, I feel like you're pushing my buttons now, because you said point so many times, it feels, and I was having to just stop myself from saying Lagrange in there for you, because I'm being a nice man now. But did you like this, Rachel? Rachel, is that the sound of joy I hear? Ooh. She's speaking French, and we all understand what she's saying. She's saying, I loved this episode, Lagrange Point. It was my favorite of the season.
God, what have I done with my life?
What's that? The best episode of the series. I wouldn't go that far, but perhaps you could explain.
It's the best season according to Julio.
Oh, he's become our punching bag in this coverage, hasn't he?
He defended it. And we don't think that it's very defendable. So
It's indefensible.
it's not indefensible. It's just not good. It's just not good. And that's the whole series, and that's also this episode. But Saru's back, and that's nice.
Rachel, how dare you try to move through these conversation points? Do you want to know what I thought of the episode?
That's my thoughts.
Oh, your thoughts?
I'm not trying to skip to discussing Saru. Like it's
You're happy to see him.
Like I'm happy to see him. Like I'll get more into my thoughts, but it's like, hey, hi, Saru, good to see you back from your press junket. Also, the heist in this is so fucking dumb, and they lampshade the hell out of it, and it's fucking bad. The heist in this episode is fucking bad.
I feel so middle of the road on this episode because it doesn't do anything good, but every bad element that we could say feels moderate to passable because what's obstructing it is the direction. The direction is dog shit. Fucking
it makes me mad.
Dog shit. That
it
it's so
makes me
dog.
mad,
It's so.
It's trying so hard.
Yeah, it is. It's trying too hard.
So hard.
And it's aggressively awful, and it makes everything else look better. Is the writing good? I can't tell you because what I'm looking at is
it's like a dog
garbage.
that's so excited that it chews through its own tail.
I wish it was that exciting. It is just so nothing.
No, but it is that fraught and frantic and butchered.
I just want to clarify too. I have a hard time being able to focus on the episode. If the writing is any good, if there are any good character moments, do the themes come across, does the overarching story work or not? The idea that this is a continuation of a previous, any of that means almost nothing because it is hard to avoid how subtle and yet overt the poor choices are in the direction. And it is Jonathan Frakes who directed this episode, who once, very long ago, was the good Star Trek director. Like, he's a member of the cast of TNG. He would direct episodes. You would perk up and say, oh, it's a Frakes episode. This will probably be interesting. Or there'll be some good shot compositions or change of pace.
Even the ones that he did earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Were not that bad.
Or early in Discovery? I wouldn't say so. He was always spinning the camera.
Yeah.
Aggressively making you sick.
He wasn't the worst director that they had.
Rose-tinted glasses after this episode, it feels, with that statement, because I always thought he was pretty bad. But now this episode, he gives us a KO punch on his way out the door to say, fuck you. But you were the one during our reaction, because we've been filming our reactions to Discovery, releasing them on our Patreon, so if people want to go over there, check it out.
Bothering me.
You did. You were immediately on it.
Like, why did you have to point that out? Now I can't not see it. It took you a couple of scenes after I commented, though, which is this episode is weirdly zoomed in. Like, the framing of all of the shots feels off because it's either, like, a lot of it is that it's too tight. Like, it's too zoomed in. You're getting weird parts cut off, or you're got negative space where you don't feel like you should have negative space. Like, I'm really thinking of the close-ups of them, like, in their suits.
In the Breen disguise.
Where they've got, like, a sort of
They're in a black void space. It's like Tony Stark in his suit.
But they seem to have like something on their hair that's covering it up.
Some of them look like they're in a morph suit with the face hole.
Yeah.
And then there are others who clearly are just not. And it's distracting how obvious the difference is.
Yes.
Adira and Reese look like they're in these suits. Book and Burnham look like they're just standing in a black void room.
The way that it feels off with each of them is slightly different. Like, Reese feels like he's a little bit too close to the camera. Adira has more negative space under their chin. Burnham
is like too far to the left.
Yeah, and then Book
is normal. He's
normal.
The most normal. So he stands out as being odd. Isn't that strange? But you noticed it. This framing is too tight. The angles of shots are just wrong, and it is a subliminal thing. It builds upon itself. It's all of these little mistakes that give an episode, give a piece of direction, this off sense that you may not be able to place or be able to verbalize, but it's on the tip of your tongue. You can feel it whirring around in the background of your mind. And it makes you appreciate when competent direction, let alone good direction, is here. Because this episode, from top to bottom, is filled with these problems.
One of the things that stuck out so clearly was how important on Discovery and all things that preceded it and all things that follow it are the relationships. It's all, I was thinking about Tilly.
Yes.
Her relationship with Adira. Soneqa's relationship with Book. Hugely significant. Adira with Anthony and Cruz. All of those are what we are interested in watching as they deal with all the bizarre shit that's going on.
There's a whole lot happening without anything happening. The politicians need to be here for what they are doing, but it also just feels so pointless what they're doing here now, because it feels like they're here now to set up that they're here next episode, so when they have like this confrontation with the Breen again, there's somebody there that like is a politician to deal with it diplomatically. But it feels fucking useless. Fucking useless.
Wow, you're going full Ocker mode because it's more entertaining.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Than actually discussing the heart of the matter.
I want to be here. I want to talk with you. I like podcasting, but I really don't like Discovery, and I'm sorry.
You don't like Discovery, but Saru came back.
Yeah,
Saru came back. You said you wanted to unpack that. Saru's here.
Are we up
he's
to
a part of that politician's
plan. Are we talking about Saru now?
I mean, he's joined at the hip with the politicians because he's one of them. He's here to say, hello, I should be in the show more, but I'm not.
He is one of them, and I didn't really care about the stuff that he had with Tarina, because it feels like it's just a rehash of what they did
5 episodes ago.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's even less because they kind of acknowledge that they've already had this debate. Because it's not even really a fight.
It's a quandary.
Yeah, like he questions her.
She questions him.
They answer each other's questions and they move on because they have a healthy relationship. But did you know they're going to get married soon?
And they hug and embrace.
We're going to have a wedding soon. We're going to have a wedding soon.
Next episode, we're going to have an embarrassing wedding where her wig nearly falls off because the veil's too heavy. But that's, again, going into what is going to happen rather than what is happening. Saru is here, but
they mention a lot. A lot.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Their thing is just to talk about what will be happening, and not doing something themselves. And
I misunderstood. I thought you were accusing me of just skipping ahead and talking about what's going to happen next episode.
You do that because that's what they did.
Yeah.
Saru and Tarina don't have a storyline in this episode. They don't have anything of their own.
No.
There's just a rehash of what we said of episodes ago. They had this thing, but you know what they had in that one? A plot, a story, a thing that they engaged with, a thing that they grappled with and then resolved. But Saru's back. What else is he doing in this, Rachel? You said that you wanted to talk more about like how he's here and that there's stuff to offer up.
Not necessarily that he is here, but just how, I guess, acknowledge the strangeness that he's back now. Like, it feels like, having watched it again, it does feel weirder that we go through the whole season without a check-in with Saru. Like,
they just have an occasional offhand line. That's how they always patch these things. There's a line.
Tarina mentions him, I really feel like it would have done a lot for her to have a hollow conversation with him.
Oh, yes.
Like, that would have made such a huge difference and made it feel a little bit more cohesive that he's missing. But his absence just really highlights his absence. And the way that they treat it within the show makes it feel really unplanned.
But then he has a plan that hinges on the fact that we know him so well and that his journey as a politician has led him to this moment. But we haven't seen him go through a journey this season to become a more seasoned, like, we haven't seen him go through this season, become a better diplomat. We saw him struggle in one episode, and now we're being pitched that he is the perfect person to do this mission to talk to the Breen because like, he's worked on Discovery. It's like, okay, so did Rillick for a season, by the way. She was on Discovery a bunch. Does that not mean she's qualified?
The reason that he's just like, oh yeah, like I worked there, that was my home once kind of thing. And I was like, well, that's a reason not to fucking get you involved. Right?
Personal connections, yeah.
Like that's
bias,
a reason.
Yeah. A weakness that they could exploit, yeah.
Not an advantage. Like the first half where he's like, yes, I've worked diplomatic and tactical. Yeah, that makes sense. You need both for this mission. Great. Your connection to Discovery is a liability.
It is a liability, but even if we want to not just focus wholeheartedly on the minutiae of that, because, you know, those things do matter, but what bothers me is since he's not been in the season, they don't even have the facade like they do with Raina or Adira or Michael or Tilly or Paul or Hugh of there having been an ongoing journey of them getting to this end point.
No, it's beginning end.
It's beginning end. It's the season
end.
All doing the two-scene wonder stuff, beginning and end. We saw the beginning of this, now we're going to see the end of this. This episode is the middle where he says, I guess I'm going to do the end of this. So I guess that there's a journey in that sense. But his plan is to fly a shuttle because it's going to be the least threatening option to an armada headed by a fascist, tyrant, genocidal maniac, as Raina laid out, and try to convince her to join the Federation side and maybe disarm and depower themselves. You know he fought in the Klingon War.
Yeah, he did. I didn't think about that.
You know, he fought in that Klingon War where that type of thing didn't really work, and you could argue it's different to the Klingon War. No, the Breen are just the Klingon. The Breen are just the Klingons. That's all they are. You can argue with me in the comments all you like that they're completely different to one another, but they're just the Klingons. Let's not lie to each other. They are basically just reheated leftovers of a far more well-known and interesting race, but slap on the Breen because they're a reference. their group, who conveniently all wear identical outfits and helmets, which makes it super cool and easy to break into their facilities, which is so handy for this plot. Thank God that it's here for that. But
oh, and aren't you grateful that they kept on talking about how much bigger the dreadnoughts were than all of the ships in the fleet? So then it makes complete sense when Discovery can fly into it.
It does make complete sense. Rayna is a character that has been very much championed. People love this person. People love the performance, love his wiseacre, rough around the edges, bad boy, captain with a bit of grit to him. And you have not been as convinced, you have not been drawn in to him. I've liked him well enough. And that's where it ends, is well enough. This episode is pretty embarrassing for him, because he just does the rote sci-fi military thing where he's just barking orders and saying technobabble stuff and just the usual crap. But they have this underpinning thing of the crew notice that he isn't sitting in the captain's chair, and they're trying to convince him to sit in the captain's chair. And then by the end, he sits in the captain's chair. And I don't find it to be something that works. And not only that, I found it deeply, deeply silly with how they executed it. It was just all very comedic to me in a way that it wasn't supposed to. At the height of all of the drama, you see the bridge crew just leaning on their chairs and gossiping to each other. And I just couldn't help but roll my eyes.
They are so unprofessional as a crew. It's ridiculous. Like, we've had that storyline before, and even in this season, of people being like, you guys are too familiar with each other. It's not appropriate or conducive to a work environment. And each time we're like, yes, you gonna do anything about it? And the show's like, no, they're great just the way they are. So it's fine for Tilly to be gossiping with Reese while they're at, like, practically battle stations. It's just so good, right? It's just so much fun.
No, it undercuts it. It undermines it. It's completely forced. And it's just to get you that cheap hit of him at the end taking the seat and then saying, let's do this thing, baby, lock and load. I'm a bad boy captain and I've come to this arc. Do you recall what pushed him to actually sit in the chair? This has been a thing for episodes now. What happened during the course of this episode that actually made...
fucking don't.
But you remember the moment where he sat in the chair?
No, I remember the moment where Tilly was gossiping.
Oh, you don't even remember the end of this episode, like him smacking the arm of the chair and being like, and he sat in it.
I remember him tapping it.
Yeah,
and doing a catchphrase, but I can't remember what the was. It like, let's do this.
The point that I'm trying to get to is, it's only the moments. It's never the journey to them.
No. Why would you ever want that?
Rayner in the chair.
Yeah.
It's a big moment. It's a meaningful moment. I talk about this with everyone who has ever been part of Star Trek and everyone who's ever worked on the bridge. There's something about that chair, man.
There sure is.
It just falls back to they tell, don't show. And even when they do have moments where they show, they've told you what's going to happen. Or they've told you so much that it undercuts it. We see him sit down in the chair, but we're reminded in this episode that he doesn't sit in the chair. It's drawn attention to. The camera follows him, and then they make a big deal about it within the show of him sitting in the chair. And It's just like he's leading without sitting in the fucking chair.
But symbolism, Rachel. He needs to overcome his own...
I'm also like, yeah, you fucked up on that planet. You deserve to question your ability to lead.
But he's had a whole season where that should be, put to the side now, and he should step up and take the call. He's refusing the hero's, he's on the journey, and he's refusing the call. The most unrewarding thing that this season has done is Adira being this ill-equipped character that's very lacking in confidence and competence and needing constant reassurance. And this episode, I guess, is supposed to be the 15th crescendo of that, where they come up with a very obvious solution to a problem, and Paul looks at them and says, "That's it, you're brilliant, Adira." And Adira gives that awkward little smile of recognition, and it's supposed to be this poignant thing where, Adira, you are brilliant. You've been thinking you're not brilliant, but you are brilliant, and you're so brilliant, you're going to be on the mission with us because you are so unique and special, and no one else could do it.
They did that already.
Adira hasn't really been out on away missions this season. They went to Trill to get broken up with. That's the closest.
Yeah, they asked to go on away missions, and then they immediately got sent on one, and then they were like, "Oh, I didn't mean today." It's so plodding. Like, why must everything in Discovery be a loop that just joins back up with itself?
You know the answer.
I'm gonna go with laziness. That's what I'm gonna go with.
I would say that they do it because they have to fill up time. But they don't know how to give us something more, so they just put stuff down. It's like when you're trying to reach the word limit on an essay and you just put random words in there that just make a sentence longer. That's this entire Adira storyline. Is it made the season feel like more stuff happened because every episode we have someone look at Adira and say, "Are you feeling okay? You should know you're special." And this episode at least has Adira in the story. Adira helps them come up with the idea of, how about we dress up as the Breen, because they all look alike and wear helmets, even on their own spaceships that have their own oxygen on there. It's cultural, I guess, that they still have the helmets with the breathing apparatus attached to it, that if you pull it out, they start choking to death, even though they're on their own ship, which should have their own oxygen.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, it is. But Adira and the team are going to go on a little undercover heist. They're going to be in teams, and they're going to go here, going to go there, disable this thing, transport that thing, bada boom, bada bang, bada bing. We are going to win the day. As you know, these things are designed to fail because that's more interesting. It's more interesting to watch an Ocean's 11 movie because they'll come up with all of these cool plans
and we
get all
know
these
the way
experts.
that it's meant to go.
So when it starts to fall apart and you see them improvise, you're going to have the joy of seeing them use their personality and set of skills to come up with new plans on the fly to win the day. That's obvious. I don't have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with it in this episode, but they don't come up with new or interesting or clever things. There's one moment that I genuinely liked in this episode. One single moment that brought a smile to my face that wasn't ironic, wasn't snarky, which was Book flirting with that Breen as a way of distracting. I thought that was well done. That actor has great on-screen presence, and the lines of dialogue were just right, and I loved the Breen being receptive to it. And I thought that was like the moment that I wish there was more of in this episode. Those things I wish there was more of.
You got really excited by that moment. And I was like, I'm happy for you. I wish that it meant something to me other than, a broken clock is right twice a day. It's like, yeah, it also is a nice moment of Book. He's using the tools at his disposal. We know that he's a charismatic man. We know that plenty of people find him attractive. So it's just like, yeah, he uses that. It's like, how many times did he use that as a courier? Probably a lot.
They say that Adira has to come to this mission because they have a certain set of skills that only they can do. We see that come to pass. But why is everyone else there? What are their set of skills, not only through their profession, but in their personality, that brings this episode to life? What does Reese do that makes you say, oh, thank goodness that Reese and Adira were teamed up, let alone him being on the mission? What does Michael do other than they punch people? Book and Adira meet the standard of what you need. Adira has the skills and Book has the personality. Mm-hmm. Why couldn't it have just been them two?
Balance each other out. And it adds to the tension because it's a criminal and an ensign going on an away mission in a very politically delicate situation.
As well as if they get found out, it means that Discovery gets found out and everyone could die.
Especially when they're meant to be dead.
Because they're playing dead, yes. They're playing into the fact that they're thought to have been destroyed. But I ask this because it makes up so much of the episode. It does take up a lot of time, but for most of it, you're just watching blank face, literally faceless people go through business. And what is there to get attached to?
The simple answer is nothing. I don't know how to elaborate on that further because there's nothing there.
Because they don't bother. They don't really get to it. The most they give you is Michael and Book have personal drama that's carried over for the entire season, and we are going to, in the heat of our mission, we're
on Burnham's side.
Not only that, it is fucking bananas that they have this.
Choose now. Why choose now?
This heart-to-heart relationship talk while they're on their mission.
It's so annoying. It's just dumb. They always do the dumb thing.
You good?
What makes you think I'm not?
Coke at the head when I just asked you that. Dead giveaway. Worried about the mission?
No, come here. There's something I need to tell you. Now's not an ideal time, but...
We're married. We're in a relationship. We have our own personal problems.
I wowed some of my students because they asked me how long we'd been together, and I said 13 years. Mm-hmm. And they were like,
13 years is...
What?
Yep, that's a long time.
And then they were like, wait, how old are you?
Old enough.
They were like, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude.
You never ask a woman their age. That's what you should say.
Yeah.
And then you smack them in the face and say, if you were on a mission to save the galaxy, would you stop to have some fucking teenage drama conversation about love?
I was talking to a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah, I think even they would know better than Michael and Book. Michael and Book stop everything to have this conversation.
Well,
okay.
It's really led by Burnham. It's Book.
And Book gets into it. It's easy now to just keep going on the track of it's stupid that they have this conversation. But okay, what is the conversation? Like, what is it? You said we're on Michael's side, but what is the conversation and what are the writers trying to get at?
I'm on Michael's side from the beginning of the season, which is Book was a fuckwit, and I don't know if I can forgive him. And now it's I was a fuckwit.
I didn't try hard enough.
And hopefully Book can forgive me.
She apologizes for something she should not be apologizing for. He committed acts of terrorism that almost led to the genocide of an entire species. And yet she's supposed to be the one that apologizes. Yet she's supposed to be the one that feels bad. Yet she's supposed to be the one who said, I didn't do enough. No, she did everything in season 4, and she's done everything in season 5, and he's been an ungrateful little shit. He apologized in a previous episode in a manner that was just so he could vent more. He accepts her apology in this episode and then half-heartedly goes, yeah, I could have handled things better too.
I'm
Buddy,
sorry
yeah,
for
that's
you
an understatement.
feeling that way. I'm sorry for you feeling that way.
But this is their
That's
way.
bad for
But this is their way of counteracting our complaints, of saying that Michael is this flawless, godlike character who nothing sticks to. This is their version of when last season or the season before Michael's like, I have a god complex, and then they don't actually say anything about that. But this is their version where all season they've been giving her this flaw, this insecurity, this weakness that she has to overcome. But we don't buy it.
Yeah, it's not a complaint that I am unfamiliar with. And it's just so fucking boring here. Because it doesn't even add anything. It doesn't change anything. Like, it's them being a step closer to getting back together, which I don't find interesting. I don't care about. My frustration with this episode just keeps on growing the more that we talk about it. Because there are things that happen, like you pointed out. There's things that happen, but they don't mean anything. The visual language of this episode is so fucking trash that it feels conflicting against, like it's working against itself. The music already felt like that to me this season in particular. And it's just like, I want to have something more to say.
They're putting emphasis in the wrong places
sucks
too.
So much.
Yeah. We know. It's a stinker. And the thing that stands out to me, this is, I think, a mistake, is she has a Breen right-hand man. He never gets a name. We never see his face. We don't know who he is. But I think it's a mistake that they humanized him so much.
Yes.
Because then he dies and you don't, there's this disharmony there because it's like, am I supposed to have cared? But he wasn't a character. I didn't know who he was. I had some attachment to him because he was a voice of reason, but there's nothing else.
Instrumental in Mole taking over.
But why did he do that?
Fuck no.
Was he Locke's brother? His friend? No, there's nothing there. So there's that just pounding you in the face, and along with this shitty heist and Frakes' truly weird choices with the camera and with the editing as well. This is just another thing. I want to enjoy Mole as a character. I do. I think the actress does a good job, but you just can't buy her. She was more believable as a duo with Locke because you understood on the most primal level the Bonnie and Clyde, Romeo and Juliet thing. But what am I supposed to be mapping onto her character right now? It's like 15 different things, none of which have actually been demonstrated to us. We're just supposed to believe it.
Yep. Accept and move on. That's a disco for you.
That is a disco. There's a big MacGuffin that they found, and the big MacGuffin is a transporter to somewhere, but they don't know where. And through a series of events, they space it, and Mole and Michael both jump inside of it. To be continued. Will they be okay? I sure hope they're okay. It's so much like season 4, where the 10C sent that big, weird, gelatinous, metallic bean, and Michael then jumps into it at the end, and everyone's like, oh my god, is Michael okay? And then, yeah, they're fine. Michael's fine. It's just a weird
Michael
note.
is never not going to be fine.
There's no way we will be able to recall this in a month's time, let alone as we talk about it. But I want to at least talk about this. This is the final thing we have here before we get to the Huda. This was about the progenitors at one point.
The progenitors are just a name. Like, and it's a callback and whatever, but the implications of this technology are just, we need to get it. We need to make sure it's safe. It'll change the whole universe.
Bring people back to life. Maybe we don't even know if that's true. We just think that for some reason.
Mole thinks that. They didn't even bring it up until Mole said, well, whatever.
They didn't bring it up until it became narratively convenient for a character to desire it, even though there is someone in the crew whose whole entire species is dead. That maybe would want it for their own.
Maybe,
but he isn't allowed to have desires like that anymore.
No.
He's just supposed to be someone
he's
who's.
a good boy now.
It's peace times. We deserve it. It's peace times. We deserve it. We don't talk about it.
No.
But, let's just keep going on this for a second. Is this the central thing of a season that Discovery's been the least interested in during its entire run? Like, I think so. I think this and the Klingon War are like rivaling each other with disinterest, because the Klingon War was like, it was interested in it and then it dropped it and then it kind of wrapped it up. This, I do not believe for a single moment that this season really wanted to engage with any of it, and is just the most naked example of like, it's a thing that makes MacGuffin hunt happen. It's like the Rise of Skywalker to me. It's on par with it.
I think that's sadly a very fair comparison to make. I don't have anything else to say about the progenitors, though. Like,
they didn't. Why did they bring it up then? Just a callback? Is that it?
It was, and it was elevation on the burn, right? That was mass destruction. This is mass creation.
Oh.
Because they've got to keep going up. They've got to keep doing more.
Instead of binary stars, it was binary black holes at the beginning. Did you see the parallels, the mirroring? Mirrors, remember that? Lagrange Point. It's all tied together.
So, I'm calling for a black alert! Before you watch another second of the red arrow, grab your favorite device and stream Star Trek Discovery's penultimate episode titled Lagrange Point. You have made it this far. You don't want to get spoiled now. We'll still be here when you come back, I promise.
It's the Huda time, everyone, where we talk about Dr. Hugh Colburn, what he got up to, and he didn't do jack shit. Did his spiritual awakening come in at any point? No. Why would it?
Down a ladder, Brian.
He jumped down some steps and calmly talked to Paul. That was all he did. Am I missing something? Did he do more during the episode?
I don't remember anything.
You could have deleted that scene and nothing would have changed, other than we would not have this segment to say Hugh was in the episode. That's another one where they are interested in Hugh's spiritual awakening, but then they drop it like a bag of rocks because we don't have time. What do we have time for doesn't seem like much. So it feels disingenuous when they say they don't have time to get into this stuff. It boggles my mind that Hugh is having a spiritual awakening that has nothing to do with the progenitors. It has nothing to do with that.
It has more to do with his own death.
Which, again, has nothing to do with the progenitors. It just... Yeah, we found a Trill who made Hugh think of this because of the treasure hunt, but it doesn't engage with the progenitors in any way. It doesn't engage with the whole life and death thing. Has Hugh even mentioned how it makes him feel like that there is the ability to create life from death? No. Of course he hasn't mentioned it. That is something for Michael to talk about in relation to how the bad guy's going to deal with something. But does Hugh's spiritual journey get deepened by the literal hunt for God that they're on? Of course it doesn't.
No. Why would you think that, Ryan?
Because you connect these things, whether you literally connect them in plot or you connect them on thematic, and they don't do that. We have had a tough time talking about the back half of season 5 because it's tired. It's very tired. This series is a shambling corpse. It no longer has the vigor and high level of stupidity that Yum Yum brought about. There would never be a Yum Yum. That's to drop the joke aside. There would never be a Yum Yum moment in this season.
No, it's not fun enough.
It's not fun enough. It's not dumb enough. It's not weird enough. I have to give this episode on a scale of Yum being bad and Yum Yum being good a yum.
Yum.
I never questioned that. It's a yum for me, too.
Yum.
What an episode of Star Trek it has been. It's been a long road getting from here to there.
Yep.
Remember that, guys? Remember when Enterprise was thought to be the most dull, plodding, lifeless Star Trek? Remember that?
The next episode is life itself. Trapped inside a mysterious alien portal that defies familiar rules of time, space, and gravity, Burnham must fight Mole and the environment itself in order to locate the progenitor's technology and secure it for the Federation. And we finally learn who Cronenberg really is.
Remember Enterprise? Do you remember it? Hey, Michael is going to hug a body double, a very young body double of Wilson Cruz. We're going to get that. Remember that? You will. We'll go over it next time on our podcast. I know I asked this a lot. Is this the worst season? Where does this rank? Now, we've had several episodes like this in a row where I have to wonder, is this the worst season? Because I feel like you and I, especially me, have energy and verve to like sink our teeth and talk and analyze media. And
Thus we've managed this much of Discovery.
But this season, along with the fourth one, feels like a challenge to that very idea.
Yeah. It's just such a waste of time and resources because it's just so meaningless. I genuinely think if I was subjected to the torture of watching this on repeat, I would just become a nihilist.
It's like getting lobotomized, honestly. That's how bad it is. I do try to be more positive when we review stuff.
You do. You're much better at finding the silver lining than I am. I'm like, it was a turd. I don't want to talk about it. Thus, you have tried so hard, and thank you for trying so admirably to get me to talk about this episode.
It's like squeezing blood from a stone, talking about this episode, let alone getting you to talk about it, but getting myself to talk about it. This is the worst type of television that you can watch, which is it parades itself around as being more, but it's completely vacuous. With shows that you watch in your spare time, I can at least appreciate
the trash.
Yes, the trash.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that they aren't pretending to be more than what they are.
Virgin River is not trying to be an Emmy award-winning drama.
Or even ones that were at one time, like Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy, you know what it is. It's a soap opera. It's garbage. But you watch it because it takes up time and it gives you those cheap hits emotionally.
Yes.
Star Trek Discovery parades itself around like it's this intellectual, moving piece that deserves more. But then you sit down and watch it, and it goes in one ear and out the other. It's disposable. It's junk television. Not only is it junk television, it's not just junk. It is trash. It is
a dumpster fire.
It is shit. That's what it is. So we will be back next time to talk about the series finale, and hopefully
one more
time we'll have a guest on, most likely. We'll see if a guest actually materializes. This has been a season 2 where we've had the most dropouts of guests because they watched an episode.
People don't want to do it.
They watched an episode that they thought they liked and then realized they didn't like it and didn't really want to talk about it, which is fair. I understand that concern. It is funny that I also asked more people who are positive on the show to come on, and they're the ones that cancel because they realize, oh, it isn't as good on a rewatch, which is very funny to me. Very funny. It's not made to be rewatched, I think. I think Star Trek Discovery is a series with almost like a 1960s sensibility where they thought you're only ever going to see it one time and never again. But we can be found on social media, yumyumpod or yumyumpodcast. If you want to support the podcast, get this stuff early, as well as access to so much other material, including our reactions, which, by the way, our reactions are a lot more upbeat than it seems these episodes have been of our podcast. I don't know. Maybe there's more of a joy to pressing pause on a silly frame of an actor's face. I don't know. Maybe there's joy to be found there. You can email us, yumyumpod@gmail.com. Rachel's sleepy. She's getting yawny in the corner there. So, Rachel, how about you say goodbye to all the yumlings?
Night, night, yumlings.